Dark, quiet and steeped in mystery, tonight we take you to a modest council house in Pontefract, West Yorkshire, better known as 30 East Drive. But behind its ordinary exterior lies a story that has chilled visitors, investigators and even skeptics to the core. Whispers of a violent presence, objects moving without explanation, and the infamous figure known only as the Black Monk. Is this one of the most convincing cases of paranormal activity in the UK? Or is there a darker, more rational explanation hiding in the shadows? Turn down the lights, get comfortable, and decide for yourself.
Hi everybody, welcome back to Ghost Watchers Northwest. Tonight we are going to take a look at 30 East Drive. Was it really haunted by a poltergeist? Or was it fake? Was it the Black Monk? Join us as we take a look. Question 1. Do you believe the story of the Black Monk haunting at 30 East Drive is genuinely paranormal? Or could there be a logical explanation behind the activity reported there? Right, so there was a priory, I believe there was a priory or a monastery there which would have had monks. You know, it could be real with that, but then logically, to explain it, would be that because that was there, this story has come about, the Black Monk, and then you hear this story, so you're looking for that. And sometimes when you're looking for something, you'll see what you want to see. So it's a bit of both, really. There's a chance that it could be genuine, and there's a chance it could have just been implanted there.
Okay, so question 1. Do you believe the story of the Black Monk haunting at 30 East Drive is generally paranormal, or could there be a logical explanation behind the activity reported there? So let's just, in a nutshell, explain what exactly occurred here at 30 East Drive. In about the 1960s, the Pritchard family believed that they was experiencing some paranormal activity. And the story goes on to say that this entity identified itself as the Black Monk. The Black Monk was blamed for most of the very violent, extreme paranormal occurrences, furniture moving, and pretty quite aggressive attacks. And this seemed to centre around the daughter, Diane. The daughter, Diane, was said to be the main target. And as we've discussed before with poltergeist activity, she was in her adolescence. So, we did discuss this on another topic where we said that maybe a lot of poltergeist activity could occur due to being in vulnerable times in your life, particularly in adolescence. So according to local legend, the Black Monk has links and ties to the Pontefract castle. He was said to have been involved in some very immoral acts. He was said to have been executed, or he died tragically, and they believe that this has links to the house from the land. And there is some talk about whether this Black Monk actually harmed children, and therefore this is why the Pritchard family believed he targeted Diane in particular. So looking at it from a different angle as well, I just want to say as well that there is actually no confirmed evidence of a monk tied to the land. You could also say that the monk could be just general folklore or storytelling. So there was a lot of media attention surrounding this haunting, and the house has been featured in books and even a movie, When the Lights Go Out, and it is still very much a hotspot for paranormal investigators today. The Black Monk has been sighted in the house, and he's said to wear a black robe and radiate a negative energy. He's often associated with a heavy feeling and a feeling of dread. So going back to the question, do we feel that this is a genuine paranormal haunting of the Black Monk at 30 East Drive, or is it something else? I think it's one of those cases that definitely sits on the edge, and the amount of witnesses and media coverage definitely makes it intriguing, especially when you have multiple witnesses describing a very similar experience and multiple witnesses saying they've also witnessed activity at this home. And the fact that a movie was inspired by this haunting just goes to show how much of an impact it's had and just how powerful this story has become. With that being said, there is some skeptics that will say that they don't believe that this is a genuine paranormal haunting. They will argue that there is no definite evidence, no documented evidence. It's a lot of hearsay, and they might say as well that there's a very logical explanation for a lot of these paranormal activity that was occurring. Personally, I think it's important to take an approach where you approach it with curiosity and a bit of skepticism. I think that they could be a mixture of the both. Personally, think that there could be some genuine hauntings going on there, because as a paranormal investigator, we've visited a lot of places, and you'd be surprised at how many places actually have a little bit of paranormal activity going on. So it could be a mixture of the both. I've never been to 30 East Drive personally, so I don't know a lot myself about how it feels. I've never been in there, but I do know Denise has visited 30 East Drive and she didn't feel that it was very active. So this isn't just a historic haunting. This kind of goes back from decades, and it's still very much a talking point today. What we find fascinating is that after each wave of coverage, reports, newspaper articles, how it shapes the story that we see today and how people perceive the case as well. So the big question is, are we seeing genuine paranormal activity, or is this a case of storytelling over time and how we perceive it? A recent article from 2024 says, House of Horror, I own Britain's most haunted house where taps spit green foam and photos are slashed. I make guests sign a waiver to enter. So some might say that this whole signing a waiver could just be a tactic of making guests feel spooky because you're having to sign a waiver. It almost feels like something real is going to happen, and sometimes your brain can piece these things together. You know, I think the whole act of signing a waiver automatically adds that spooky feel. And then the article also says, after the family moved out, the remains of a Tudor monk were discovered buried beneath the house, leading many to believe he's the one haunting the property. Bill decided to buy the house after he finished producing a horror movie shot at the property. I'm not sure how true or accurate these findings of the monk being buried is, but it definitely adds a fear aspect to it. And another thing as well is the fact that a horror movie he used it for a horror movie, could also suggest that, you know, is this just a staged event? Is it being hyped up more than what it should? I'm not sure. I'm just giving you guys my thoughts and opinions on this, but it does seem very, very hyped up. The article also goes on to say that business is booming for Bill. According to this article, in 2024, the house is booked up for events, and I think he charges like £75 a night as well. So if you're looking at that from a skeptic point of view, you could also possibly suggest that, well, is this like more of a money-making thing? So yeah, it definitely gives you food for thought. Me personally, I think there was definitely some genuine activity going on there, but I'm not sure if over time it's been shaped, and as the stories and the media attention and the newspaper reports have all shaped it into something more than what it actually is. But without visiting the house myself, it's very hard to say. I'm only going off what I'm reading and my own thoughts, but I would love to visit it just so I could see for myself.
Question number 2. As a paranormal investigator, if you were to investigate 30 East Drive, what method or piece of equipment would you rely on most? And what kind of evidence would you hope to capture? So if I was to investigate 30 East Drive, my most reliable equipment would be my own eyes, my own ears, and then obviously my video recordings in the hope of catching something that I haven't seen, and also my EVP recorder and picking an EVP up, knowing nobody else is there and that's not your voice.
As paranormal investigators, if you were to investigate 30 East Drive, what method or piece of equipment would you rely on most, and what kind of evidence would you hope to capture? So for me, one of the best evidence you can use is observation. So actually seeing things for yourself and actually being able to record it. For one, I think as a paranormal investigator, personally, the best tool that you can use is just a camera and your own eyes, ears, and maybe a camera as well to document any evidence that is occurring. But of course, it's good to have a range of other equipment that we do use. It's all about having that patience and also having that ability to rule things out as well. So don't just, if you're going to go and investigate somewhere like 30 East Drive, don't go in there and just assume, oh, that noise is something paranormal, because there could be an explanation for it, and it could be an environmental factor to do with the house itself. So it's important to always have that open mind. For me personally, it needs to be something that clearly cannot be debunked, and also EVPs that give a very clear voice. And of course, intelligent responses as well would be amazing evidence for me.
Question 3. Why do you think cases like 30 East Drive capture people's attention so much compared to other haunted locations? So I think this is because they've been in the media. So they've been hyped up and they're in the media. So it gets people curious and they get that attention. People, paranormal investigators want to go and find out for themselves and see it. And so I think it's possibly because they've been in the media, where that whole building over there, it's not been in the media. There's been no newspaper reports on it. So I think it's because it's been in the media and it's been hyped up.
So question 3, why do you think cases like 30 East Drive capture people's attention so much compared to other haunted locations? So to answer that question, it's that people can relate to it. It's an ordinary home, it's not a castle, it's not a big mansion somewhere, it's not a cave, it's not a tunnel, it's a family home. So people relate to it because it is a home where you're supposed to feel safe and secure. People can imagine themselves in that environment, and I think that's what definitely raises that fear a little bit more. So I think it creates this narrative that people can't help but be drawn to it.
Question 4. Do you think the experiences reported by families who've lived in 30 East Drive could be influenced by fear and suggestion, or do you think something truly unexplained is happening there? Well, it depends. So, did anything go on before the family that the film's based on, that lived there? Had any other previous tenants experienced anything? I don't know. I've not heard nothing about that. But they could have experienced something. Like I said, when I'm researching, the only things I could get were newspaper clippings. I couldn't find any video interviews or anything, or video evidence of what happened there. So it's a hard one. They could be genuine, or you switch it the other way, and they could have heard a story of somebody who's lived there before, and then they could have been looking for it. And sometimes when you look for something, you get it. I don't know, it's an hard one, that. You need to experience it yourself.
Do you think the experiences reported by families who's lived in 30 East Drive could be influenced by fear and suggestion, or do you think something truly unexplained is happening here? I think fear and suggestion can absolutely play a role here, especially in a situation where it's a very wide coverage, it's a very talked about place, and even a movie has been inspired by this location. So it could definitely be suggestion and fear at play here. I think once that fear has been amplified or instilled, every little noise and creak can automatically be amplified and feel a lot more spooky than what it actually is. On the other hand, it would be completely unfair to dismiss people's experiences, and I think it's important to be sensitive when we're thinking about what people have experienced there, as they could be genuine and they could feel very genuine to the person themselves. And another thing that we have to take in mind is that there is a lot of people that are claiming very similar situations or experiences that they've had at 30 East Drive. So you've got to also consider and weigh up that side of things. And I think personally there's definitely could be something going on, but I think the challenge is basically separating perception from reality, and this is where a careful, unbiased investigation is essential, and it really does matter. So my answer to that question is definitely suggestion and fear could be playing a big role in this, but also there could be some genuine activity that is occurring here, and maybe it's escalated over time, or maybe the media and the attention it's received has shaped it over time and made it more than what it actually is. But I don't dismiss that there was no activity at all there. I definitely think something could have been going on there. But again, the question is, are we seeing genuine paranormal activity, or are we seeing the power of storytelling over time?
Now we're going to do the 30 East Drive quickfire round. Right. Sit alone in the most active rooms or stay moving around. It's got to be sit alone in the most active room for me. Spirit box session or silent vigil in the Black Monk room. For me, the silent vigil in the Black Monk room. Most intense, footsteps upstairs or something touching you. I think footsteps upstairs knowing nobody else is up there. 1 hour locked in, daytime or overnight. Definitely overnight for me. I think overnight makes it a bit more spooky. Capture clear EVP or see a full-bodied apparition. Well, it's got to be see a full-bodied apparition for me because I have never seen one.
Now it's time for the quick fire round. So this is the 30 East Drive edition. So rules are no thinking, just answer. And if you guys want to join in as well, please feel free to do so. So sit alone in the most active room or stay moving around. Definitely for me, sit alone in the most active room. Next one is spirit box session or silent vigil in the Black Monk room. For me, I would say silent vigil because I feel I can get more out of a silent vigil. Most intense, footsteps upstairs or something touching you. Probably something touching you. 1 hour locked in, daytime or overnight? Overnight. Capture clear EVP or see a full-bodied apparition. I'd like to see a full-bodied apparition. So we asked, do you believe 30 East Drive is genuinely haunted? So let's see. So the options were yes, 100% haunted, or not sure, or no, there's a logical explanation. So this was a close one. So 38% of you said not sure, 38% of you said no, there's a logical explanation, and 25% of you said yes, 100% haunted. So now I'm going to read a few comments. As always, we love reading your comments and sharing them. So Yvonne from Ghost Watchers Northwest said, it's a hard one this, as it was possibly haunted, but too many people faking things there, and the lady next door is fake. So I'm a possibly until I ever get the chance to go. So I have to say you've raised some good points there. And I have to say as well, there is an interview with the lady next door, and a lot of people do say she comes across fake, but I'm not sure myself. I'm just letting you guys know, if you want to go and check it out, you can find it on YouTube where there's an interview with the lady next door. And then Keith Williams says, not totally sure, but I'm guessing it's a money maker for somebody, so maybe a certain amount of exaggeration is involved. And I think that's a good point, Keith, because as we were saying in the questions, there's definitely a lot of money making to do with this house. You've got obviously the paranormal nights that they're doing, the movies that have been made, and obviously the articles that they've done. So yeah, there definitely could be a bit of money making going on there, so I can definitely see why you would say that. Granny Apple says it was over exaggerated, so yes, you could have a good point there, because often when things get hyped up, it can be over exaggerated. And then my name is TAO says, never heard of it, but I believe in the paranormal. Absolutely agree with you there about believing in the paranormal, and I do think the paranormal exists. And then we've got David Jones, a guy who's followed us from the very beginning, and said, no, but I remember a team on YouTube going there and they acted like they moved in. The only thing you heard was voices like a radio, but it could be staged, ? So that's a good point as well, Di. I definitely think, things could be staged there. I think some people that have visited there could have staged things as well. So yeah, you've definitely raised a few points there. And so thank you very much for taking part in the poll. We really enjoy looking at the comments and seeing what the answers are and what we end up getting and what genuinely you believe in. And it really makes the podcast and the video for us. So thank you very much for sharing your thoughts and opinions. And as always, please respect that everybody has a different opinion on these things.
Right, so taking a look at 30 East Drive, I've never been myself, so I can't really comment genuinely, on it, because I haven't experienced anything there myself. I can only go off what I've read and what I've seen, what I've heard, and like I said, it could be genuine. It could. I feel everywhere it could be haunted. So the stories there could be genuine, but there has been a lot of public going in and faking it. So it may not be as active as we believe it to be. The neighbour next door, I think she's been caught faking things, making it a bit more, hyping it up and that, but which she looks after the place, so she's obviously getting something out of it, so she probably wants to keep people coming. Would I go the Black Monk story? Could be true. There was like I said, there was a monastery there. There would have been monks, or then again, it could have just been a story put there. And when you hear these stories, you'll look for that thing. So it's an hard one. I need to go myself, I think, before I can give an honest opinion on it. The family that the film's about, who live there, there's not a right lot. The only thing I can research on them is the paper clippings. I've not been able to come across any video recordings of them or any video evidence. So it's an hard one, and they have seemed, on one hand, they have seemed to have been quiet about it. Just after the papers, they've seemed to have been quiet about it. If it was happening, would you, scream and shout about it, or would you keep quiet about it? I don't know. It's an hard one, this one. Need to experience it myself. So anyway, guys, I'd like to thank you all for watching. Would love to hear your opinions on 30 East Drive, if you want to leave them in the comments. And it's bye for now. Take care, and we'll see you again soon.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Hope you've enjoyed this one, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the next case file. So, what do you think? Is 30 East Drive truly haunted by something we can't explain? Or is there another side to the story waiting to be uncovered? Let us know your thoughts, and if you've ever experienced anything similar, we'd love to hear it. Don't forget to like, subscribe and join us next time as we step into another story that blurs the line between the reality and the unknown. Until then, sleep well.